We started James a little bit ago, but we're still not going through there yet. We're just kind of doing another little topical thing.
Topical?
That might be good. Because last week we talked about the Trinity, and we talked about God's mercy and how it glorifies Him more than His justice and His power. So I just kind of wanted to talk about what God's power is, and also how human He is in the person of Jesus Christ. God owns everything. He's sovereign, completely sovereign over everything. There's nothing that we can give Him that He doesn't already rightfully own. Psalm chapter 50, verses 10 through 11 say, "For every beast of the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves on the field is mine." Again, in Romans, verse 33 through 36, it says, "Oh, the depths and the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable His judgments and His paths beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who has been His counselor? Who has ever given to God that God should repay Him? For from Him and through Him and to Him are all things. To Him be the glory forever. Amen." Again, that's almost scary. I mean, there's nothing that, we say my life or my car or my this, my that. Nothing is ours. Nothing. We don't deserve anything. We think we're powerful. We think that we have ownership over things. Everything you're giving, every power you have, every friendship you have, every morsel of food that you eat is God's. Rightfully, it's His. And there's nothing you can give Him. Not even your life. You can't say, "Oh, well, I'll serve you," or "I'll give you my life," or "I'll surrender my life to you." It's like, if all He has to do is barely reveal Himself to you, and you'll gladly serve Him. All He'll do is He'll gladly follow and do anything He wants, anything He wills. There's nothing new to God. There's nothing that God doesn't already know. He knows, like we talked about this before, but I just think it's so sick and so rad to really investigate God, because we think of Him as this like flying, glowing baby that gives us love and sprinkles candy on us. It's not like that. He's a powerful God of infinite wisdom and glory and power and strength. And there's nothing He doesn't know. There's no fact He doesn't know. There's no letter written in a book anywhere He doesn't know. There's no thought that will ever have been thought or ever will be thought of that He doesn't know. He's the king of everything. He's the king of each day. He wakes up, but every day is His. I'm the king of that day. I'm the king of eternity. I'm the king of everything. That's what God is. And again, it might sound egotistic or whatever, like we were talking about last week, but God's glory is so amazing that it's all we'll want. It's not He's being just be about me, but He doesn't deserve it. He deserves it. And just seeing His glory, just seeing Him is all that we'll ever want. That's the greatest satisfaction we'll ever get out of our life here on earth or in heaven, is worshiping Him, is serving Him, is just looking at Him and admiring Him and looking at His beauty and going, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing. You're worthy of praise and honor and glory." In Revelation it says that the angels fly around His throne 24/7, constantly finding new things to praise Him for. So it's not like God's just boring or dull. He's the Lord of earth, man. He's the Lord of heaven and earth, and He's in charge of all the armies of heaven. He's in charge of everything that happens on earth. He's rich beyond our wildest imagination, man. He's gnarly. And the thing is, God's not, God is loving, He's mercy, but we also talked about last week, He's just, and God's not going to share His glory with anyone. God's not going to settle for sharing His glory with people. Just kind of want to read into, we think of Jesus as this, kind of girly looking guy. You see pictures of Him with the long flowing hair and the white robe and always glowing and just spitting proverbs out. Man, that's not entirely who Jesus is. He's powerful, man. He is God in the flesh, and He came with power and glory. And I just want to share some verses that kind of gives a better understanding of who He is and how powerful He is. If you have your Bibles, you can turn to Joel chapter 3, verses 12 through 16. All right, verse 12. "Let the nations be roused. Let them advance into the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there I will sit, to judge all the nations on every side. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, trample the grapes, for the winepress is full, and the vats overflow. So great is their wickedness. Multitudes, multitudes, in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near, in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon will be darkened, and the stars will no longer shine. The Lord will roar from Zion." what he's talking about there when he says, swing the sickle, the harvest is ripe, he's talking about the people he's going to take vengeance on. He's talking about, he's like, the wine press is ready, it's full of grapes, come and smash it, take the juice from the grapes. He's talking about the people that have sinned against him. He's talking about wicked people, who was everyone who lived, but people that he's going to take his justice, his wrath out. God has wrath stored up, and he poured it out on Jesus himself on the cross. That's the whole point of why we're sitting here talking. But God is scary. He's not something to be messed with, man. He's scary. Revelation 6, 15 through 17. Then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and every slave and every freeman, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of the wrath has come, and who can stand? That's a heavy verse, really. The wrath of the Lamb, that's Jesus, man. His wrath. People are going to say, they're going to cry out to rocks and to mountains and say, fall on me, to just hide me from his face. He's so glorious, he's so powerful, he's so scary, and he's come with such swift justice that, man, you want to be hidden from that. You want to have some refuge from that. And Christ offers that to us through the person and work of Jesus Christ on the cross, a refuge from his own wrath. But the people that receive that, this is what they get. They get to go to rocks, and they get to go to mountains and say, please hide me from the face of the Lord. Because he's coming swiftly for my judgment. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come swift, will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything in it will be laid bare. Again, this is not something you want to mess with. This is not the fairy tale, God that Americans kind of think of, or you kind of think of when you think of God's like just some far off guy. Man, this is a God full of wrath and anger towards sin and towards the destruction of his name. It says the day of the Lord will come like a thief. We're not going to know, man. You're not going to know. And when it happens, it's going to be ultimate wrath. It's going to be ultimate. If you read the book of Joel, I quote something from it, but if you read the whole book of Joel, it talks about how it's going to be completely frightening and terrifying, and a day when people will weep and gnash their teeth together. It's going to be a bad day. It says the heavens will disappear with a roar, and the elements will be destroyed by fire. Like all these things we think are so great and mighty, and so he's just going to lay it bare. He's going to lay the foundation of the earth bare. The earth and everything in it will be laid bare, it says.